Hey guys, Jazz back with another video. In this video, we're just going to compare some of the grading companies. I left off obviously some of the new kids on the block, like CSG and HGA. Those are the two big new ones that came out. Because of their newness, I can't really make a video and add them to this grading tier list. Basically, which one? Basically, it's not a tier list. This is just me going over the prices that these cards sell for. And the reason why I'm using Zion is because the only player that has a strong database on SGC is Zion, because his cards came out around the time when PSA and BGS were both shut down, and a lot of people sent their Zions to SGC. So again, it gives us a good data point where a card that all these grading companies graded a lot of. And I'm going to go over pop reports on this, who grades the toughest, who grades the easiest, which cards are undervalued, stuff like that. Little hidden things you can find in these basically by the numbers that came out of this. So we're going to basically just compare base Zions across these three grading companies. I do know that the two new companies that came out grade pretty tough as well. So those are grading tough candidates, but I do believe they base themselves off of BGS, which is a losing candidate. I don't think in the long term people like that type of grading system. I'm sorry, they don't. The fact that you can have subgrades and then some cards don't have subgrades, it creates a lot of confusion. For me, the new company should have came out with a PSA or SGC format. I'm gonna just give you spoilers. I think SGC has the best grading format. I think they have the worst slabs. I think their label is trash. I like the black. I just don't like the slab. The plastic on the slab. I don't like. I don't like the plastic of the black. I don't like. I just don't like the thing. But I think their grading system, how they have it, it is the best in my opinion. But again, PSA, the reason why, to me, one of the reasons why they're king is because they have the most simple slabs. They just look classic. They have a classic simple slab, and they have a classic simple grading system. And for a lot of these new people in the hobby, it's a lot easier to understand a PSA grading. And here's why. A lot of people don't understand that. It creates confusion anyway. BGS 9.5 is Gem Mint. That's their Gem Mint. That's the grade most likely a modern card is going to get. For PSA, a Gem Mint is PSA 10. For SGC, a Gem Mint is a 10. SGC 9.5 is not, I repeat, is not Gem Mint. It's a Gem Plus. It is not Gem Mint. So that confuses a lot of people. The only 9.5 that's not Gem Mint in the game, because PSA does not give 9.5s, is SGC. They're the only ones that's not Gem Mint. And I'm going to show you some data that their Gem Mint might be a little bit stronger than BGS's Gem Mint. So again, this is like the pricing. I was surprised that SGC is the red line right here. That SGC is actually the second best selling for the Zion based prisms. Because again, a lot of people consider BGS to be number 2 grading company. You see when I click on it, kind of highlights them. They consider them to be the number 2. Once upon a time, like 15 years ago, they were number 1, the number 1 grading company. Again, they're no longer, and we're just gonna go over these numbers. I'm not trying to talk too much, all right? And then I have like a chart showing basically all the numbers. I compiled them to make it a little bit easier to understand, and we'll get into those numbers when I find them. So Zion, there are currently 30,000 that have been graded. Oh my God, highlight everything. 30,000 that have been graded. 16,677 PSA 10s, 12,000, almost 13,000 PSA 9s. Got some 8s or whatever, but for the most part, this is a lot. Most of them are going to get 9s and 10s in PSA, and then you're going to get the gem rate is like 50-something%, which is pretty good for a modern. I'm saying pretty bad for a modern card. You would expect more like 80%. So again, these cards are a tough grade. So around 50-some% for you to get a Gem Mint PSA 10. And that's what we're striving for anyway. If you go over to the Beckett, they've graded 12,000. There's 8,756 PSA. Holy shit. BGS 9.5s. As you're going to see in the chart thing, this is very high. I think it's almost 70% gem rate, which is pretty high, a lot higher than PSAs. And we got the 9s at 2,600. Again, I'm going to do a chart that's going to make this a little bit easier to understand, and you'll get the percentages a little bit more. I have it coming on later that I made myself. But again, They have around 68% gem rate for BGS 9.5s. And again, PSA is somewhere around half, which is I think 54% their gem rate. So a lot lower. But now we go over to SGC. As you can see, they have 981 cards graded, and they have only given away 249 SGC 10s. That is less than a third of the cards getting SGC 10s, and they do have a grade above 10. That's the 10 gold, which it means it's a pristine card, which means the card is perfect pretty much. So they don't give this away that often. It is rare, but again, I like that little extra bonus, and that's why I prefer SGC grading. I think they do have the best grading system. It's not even close. So I do like the fact that, well, it's not the most common because their 9.5 is actually most common, and that's one thing I think. Like once the card, like in PSA, a lot of these cards will be 10s, and some of these cards will be 9s. So you'll have strong 9s, and then you'll have weak 10s and stronger 10s. So there's a spectrum. That's what PSA, there's no difference. The 10 is a 10, a 9 is a 9. But here, since they have that 9.5, if a card has a little mark or whatever, and it's something that normally probably would be a PSA 10, they drop it down to, I actually clicked it and it went down. They'll drop it down to a 9.5. So I think their 10s are the hardest 10s. So if you're looking for the best quality, you're just looking for the quality of the card, and you don't really look at the slab or the thing, I believe SGC is going to give you the best quality for their 10. Their gem mint, obviously, if you're talking about gold labels, black labels, and stuff like that, you're talking about a different ball game. But I'm talking about their most common given out grade, which is 9.5 for BGS and a 10 for SGC. Their 10s are stronger, way stronger. And to me, SGC 10 is a lot, way stronger than a BGS 9.5. And it's even stronger than a PSA 10. The numbers bear it out, and we'll go to it when I get to my chart. So it makes sense that in this card, it's actually selling, is actually holding its own again, not old, and at some points has sold for more than PSA. So again, that's because I think Zion is one thing. If you submit to SGC, you got to submit very liquid players because it's very hard to move their slabs sometimes. As you can see, there's not a lot of sales on here. 1, 2, 3. Like in the last 6 months, there's probably been like 20 sales. There's not like these. They're selling a lot. Anyway, we can look right here. I'm probably exaggerating on the number of sales, but yeah, SGC 10s, there's only 34 sales. While PSA, you're talking about 2,000. Again, these cards are a lot more liquid, a lot easier to sell the PSA. You see the top 2 are actually PSA. Obviously, PSA has the bigger pop report, but again, they're more liquid. They're easier to sell. People more comfortable paying for these prices. So again, keep that in mind. That PSA is way more liquid. But again, when a player has a lot, this is the only card that SGC has a lot of, and a lot is relative. I mean, they have like 1,000 almost in the pop report. So it's like one of their highest, most populated cards. And it actually holds itself pretty well against other cards. Because if you look at some of the other players who aren't as established as a Zion, like it don't have the star power, the SGC doesn't. BGS is number 2. But in this one, that there's a lot of Zions, and people are, again, I get back to what I say a lot, is that people get comfortable when they see other people buying. So they see people buying these cards. Okay, but if there were only like 100 Zions in SGC 10s, right now there's 280 something. Let's say there was a fifth of that. Maybe there was like 60 of them. They will sell even less often, so people will feel less confident about the true price of the SGC. So again, the more they're out there, the more comfortable people get paid to pay these prices. And again, a lot of people don't know all this information that I'm about to show you on this chart, a little graph that it's not even a graph. This little note thing that I did. All right, guys. So it's a little chart that I did. Well, it's not a chart. I keep saying chart, but whatever. Basically, the data is for every 1,000 cards that get graded by each of the grading services. This is the outcome you can see between 9 to 10. So basically, if you send in 1,000 base Zion Prisms to PSA, 552 will be PSA 10s based on the chart. So that means 52.2%. So basically the first 2 numbers are the percentages. So 54% of the Zions that get sent to PSA come out to be 10s. 42% come out to be 9s. We'll go over to SGC. Almost 69% of the cards you send to BGS will come out 9.5. So again, the highest gem rate by all these companies is by far BGS. They have 52 10s, which are rare, and then the black labels, there's only 2, which are super rare. Then we get to SGC. They're giving out 13 of their gold labels, 253 tens, 356 nines. So again, this is not gem mint. This is gem mint. So again, they're not the same. So again, this will sell for a lot less than this. And in my opinion, this 9.5 is probably stronger than this 9.5 for the most part. Because if you combine their nines and their tens, that is still what, 60%, and that's less than their 9.5s. So again, 60%, even if you combine their 9.5 and their 10, is still only 60%. They're very tough graders, especially on Chrome cards. They grade really tough. So what does this charts all mean? So this is what the meats and potatoes is. The elite card grades. I still think that the black label is the premier of the elites. So if you want the best of the best, the best of the best, you go for black label BGS. I think that is the best card. If you're one of those guys who don't buy the grade, don't buy the slab, buy the card, black labels, usually you're gonna get the best cards coming out. If you're really looking at the top tier cards, I think right behind it, not right behind it because again the percentages is almost like 5 times more, but right behind it is SGC gold labels, and then after that it's BGS tens. So now we're just gonna focus on the gem mint, and this is what most of the market buys cards at. They want the gem mint cards. This is where most of the transactions happen. I believe SGC has by far the strongest 10 out of these groups. Their 10 to me, their quality, their slabs suck. Again, their resale sucks. Whatever. But I'm saying their grading system and the harshness of their grading, their tens are the most legit tens in my opinion, based on that data. You can't deny it. Basically, 25% gem rate. That is wildly low for a Prism easy grade type of card. 54% for PSA and basically 69% for BGS. Number two, PSA easily, because again, BGS they almost give 69. They give 69% 9.5. So they have the weakest of the gem rates. And in my opinion, the best deals, the sneaky ones, is SGC 9.5s. I've always said this anyway. SGC 9.5s are probably easier to convert to PSA 10s than BGS 10s in my opinion. The good thing about BGS though is that you can see the subgrades. Again, there's little nuances to everything. When you see the subgrades, you can often know if it can cross the PSA 10. Why? Because PSA 10 is very lenient on certain things. So if you see some of if you look at the subgrade and you see where the problem is, you can probably know that, okay, PSA doesn't worry about that much. It's like back centering. SGC will kill you for back centering. So if you look at SGC and the back of the card is off centered and it's a 9.5, that's an easy. Well, if you actually look at the card, but this one can actually tell you if the centering and you see the front centering is good and you look at the back and it's shitty. That's the good thing about BGS. It pretty much tells you it got hit for centering. That's the only problem it had. When you get this card, it can have another issue. That is true. When you get this one, if everything else is 9.5 and the centering is a 9, you see it's good center in the front. You turn it over, you see the picture of the back of the card and it's off centered. Probably they hit them. And I know SGC hits hard. Not hard, but they hit harder than PSA on back centering. So those are little things you can see. But again, these are great buys because these sell for a lot less than BGS. And in some cases, they're better than some of the PSA 10s, these SGC 9.5s in design. Obviously, different cards can produce different outcomes because this is not the end-all, be-all. Again, I should have said this in the beginning because maybe a different type of card can produce different type of results. But for the most part, from the results I've seen on eBay, on YouTube, I've seen a shit ton of results. SGC is the toughest. PSA is BGS is the easiest, and PSA is somewhere in the middle. Closer, yeah, somewhere in the middle. I just believe that to be true. Before I even did these numbers, that was my process by seeing a lot of reveals. That was my thought process, and when I saw these numbers, basically just confirmed what I thought. Now, when it comes to nines, you gotta look at it a couple of different ways. You could probably flip SGC or PSA because you can say that, well, out of their not, they have 60% 9.5 or better, so their nines are the bottom 40%, where the PSA is the bottom 56% of the cards. So again, there's little different ways to look at it. But the nines, I think most of the wheelhouse is here. Just know that SGC is very, very hard on their grading. So their 9s and their 9.5s, you could probably get them on certain plays for dirt cheap, especially people put them at auctions. So my thing is, like, I don't know if they'll ever be respected. I think their slab sucks. I like the black. Again, if PSA had like a black slab, that'll look amazing. I like their type of slab with a black casing would be crazy. I like black slabs. I just don't like their black slab, the SGCs. But in my opinion, if you're just looking at what they graded, I'll be more confident in the SGC. I think they're the tougher grades. Is easily by this data that you see right here, it easily shows. I mean, only 25% gem rate. This one's almost 69. PSA is 54. Again, I want to harp back onto that. The type of card you send is different. It could be a paper card. Maybe, PSA grades that certain paper card harder than thing. And again, on some of the older stuff, PSA is probably really hard on, especially if people feel like older stuff that's very valuable, they feel like PSA is very tough on. Maybe SGC on those certain cards might be a little bit easier. But for the most part, we like Chrome and we like ultra modern. So for those type of cards, I think this will hold. But for paper cards and ultra rare cards, it might be a little bit different. So just basically look at the data. I don't know if anybody's ever broken down the data like that, just to show you the percentages on certain cards. And again, Zion is the perfect candidate because of the shutdowns that happened last year. A lot of the cards of Zion-based cards went to SGC, which gave us a little bit better of a data pool. It's not just comparing like 80 cards, 50 cards. It's actually almost 1,000 cards to go off of to compare the data between the different companies. So that's pretty much it. Let me know anything you have down below about these grading companies, which one you prefer. Now that you've seen this, maybe you'll start picking up SGC 95s. Maybe get them for dirt cheap, especially people running an auction for obscure players. Those are great crossover effects. Not obscure players, but players who aren't as popular as Zion. Even if you believe in the player or whatever, you might get a low number parallel of theirs at a SGC 9 or 9.5 that could possibly cross to a PSA 10. So those are little things, little games you want to look into, getting into. Like, basically, I think SGC 9.5s and 9s are a look to try to, flip over to PSA. And that's pretty much it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, please make sure to leave a like down below. If you're new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe. Till next time, guys.